at night. So it's nice to be here with everyone who is, I don't know, what are you guys getting ready for bed, putting the kids into bed, getting ready to binge watch something on Netflix? I'm getting ready to work with master IEP coaches. So there are parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who have all signed up to become master IEP coaches, and they're in the middle of their mentorship right now. And I work with them live, sometimes during the day, but I got to make sure that I'm able to connect with everyone who works during the day or is super busy during the day, and nighttime is better. So I'm getting ready to go live with them. But before I do that, I thought I'd hop on here and share with you a little bit about what I'm going to be teaching them, because you can actually get what I'm teaching them. And that's a free IEP checklist. So I've been working in the special education field professionally for over 20 years. I have a brother with Down syndrome. I watched my family navigate the IEP system, and I decided I was going to solve all the problems by becoming a special education teacher. And I loved being a special education teacher. But what I found myself doing is teaching by day and coaching by night. I was coaching parents. I was helping other teachers. I was even talking to my boss sometimes about what she could say a little bit differently to the parents who were the parents of my students to kind of keep things moving forward, and let's not get stuck in some of the issues that tends to trip up the special education conversations. So I taught for a few years, but I've been working full-time for 20 years for you, the parents, the teachers, the admins, the therapists. And the Master IEP Coach Mentorship is a way that I can teach you to do what I do. So you can always hop over to masteriepcoach.com and get information about that. But tonight, I'm going to show you the special education checklist that I have that you can grab. It's right on my website. You go to iepchecklist.com. You're going to see a button that says free IEP checklist. You drop your name, you drop your email, and I'm going to send this to you. And then I'm going to send you some other things too, like some IEP tips about data, placement, ESY, leadership at the IEP table, how to get through the sticky conversations, all the different things that you need to make special education easier, how to help you really navigate the difficult situations without having to rely on, kind of that Google search that takes you way down the rabbit hole for like 3 hours in the middle of the night because you just need one question answered. I got you. Okay, so hop on over and get your free IEP checklist. Let me show you what you're going to get. First of all, I'm going to give you the IEP checklist that I've been using for decades. Yep, literally decades, because our special education system doesn't change. It really is not about even needing to wait for change to happen, because there are things that we can do inside of the system. But you got it. For example, let me pick something off of here. Have service minutes been reviewed and clearly defined on how they will be used by each provider? So here's what that means. There's a lot of times that there's something like, let's say, speech therapy put on to an IEP. So as a mom, you might think, okay, my kid's getting speech therapy twice a week for 30 minutes. And you imagine how that speech therapy is being carried out. Then it comes time for a progress report or annual review, and you realize that's not what I thought was happening. See, I don't want that to happen to you. So I put it right here on the checklist. I want you to double check with the providers so you know, is your child receiving therapy by themselves, in a small group, in a large group, in tandem with something else that's happening? Like, is it push-in services? Is it pull-out services? What's going on with this actual speech therapy? I don't want you to be surprised. Now, a lot of times these surprises that happen, it's not because somebody is trying to deceive you. It's because there's assumptions that are made when those minutes go onto the paper. And that's assumptions by the team that you understand. There's assumptions by the parent. You assume that you do understand, because why would it be any different? But if you're not having the conversation, we can't guarantee that that's how things are actually being carried out. Let me give you another one. And remember, you guys can go grab this at iepchecklist.com. Another one would be, all right, has a home to school communication plan been put into place? What? You can have a home to school communication plan put in your IEP? Absolutely. So I didn't need to wait for the law to change or things to get better, or really waiting for somebody else to pave this pathway for success for a child. But I do need teams talking. I do need teachers and parents and therapists and admins to all have a clear communication plan on how they're going to communicate, what they're going to communicate, how often they're going to communicate. And I need to make sure that it's meaningful communication, which means if you're getting information about, how much your child ate at lunch and you don't care about that piece, then please talk to the team and let them know, because they're spending their valuable time giving you that information. Now, if you need that information and you're not getting that information, you're frustrated with the team, please open up that conversation so you can start getting that information that you need. So there's a whole list here of things that you can go through that are not your average. Make sure you have SMART goals. No, this is the stuff that gets forgotten, but it's so important because this is the stuff that makes an IEP work. I don't care how good the document is written. If there are these holes in the document, it's not going to be carried out to the way that everybody assumes. There's a lot of assumptions when a document is created. So then there's actually a bonus checklist that's inside of these downloadable checklists that are at iepchecklist.com, okay? This is for inclusion. Who wishes inclusion was done more or different or better? Who wishes that in their district? Okay. So this is a checklist for inclusion that's not talking about just least restrictive environment or, kind of that standard definition of inclusion. This talks about things like, ready? Has the regular education teacher been included in the discussion about supports and needs? Do you know how often inclusion is done for a special education student to be included with the regular education instruction or classroom or activities, and the regular education teacher is not included in this conversation? It is assumed that she's going to know what to do, or we'll just send the paraprofessional in and she'll figure it all out. Guys, that's not how inclusion should be. Inclusion needs to be a collaborative effort that makes sure that we're including this gen ed teacher. It's not going to work if we don't include the gen ed teacher in the conversation. Or how about this? Have pre-teaching strategies been discussed? Yeah. How are we going to make sure that a child or the adult who's supporting the child knows what's coming up next? Because usually when we're talking about inclusion, it's because there's a gap in the learning, and doing some pre-teaching or having supplies ready or just being prepared for what's coming up next, that makes inclusion successful. So you're going to get this checklist too when you hop over to iepchecklist.com, and then you're going to have this last page that tells you how we can connect more. Because you know what? Special education can be isolating for everybody. It can be isolating for parents, teachers, admins, therapists. I don't think parents know sometimes what it feels like to be one of the special ed professionals in the building where things don't apply to you when it comes to like professional development days a lot of times, or the PTA is putting on this all school event that they forgot to invite your classroom. It's not just the students who get left out, the staff get left out too. And that's exactly why we have the Special Education Inner Circle, we have the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, because nobody should be doing special education alone. And we don't have to keep things complicated. You absolutely can simplify. So here, Destra says, and Destra, if I have this right, she's in our current Master IEP Coach program. She said, should every IEP have a communication plan? In my opinion, yes. Is it mandated? Is it legally in the law? Remember, I'm not a lawyer. Ooh, I made it this far without having to say that. I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. I tell you where to look in the law sometimes. But in my experience, yes, every IEP should have some type of communication plan. It doesn't have to be, in-depth 3 pages long, but should there be some type of kind of, I'm going to call it a safety net for when things aren't going right. So it's an accountability measure to ensure that the team is talking effectively. And by talking, that could be email or, the notebooks that go back and forth or texting, whatever that is. Okay. But communicating on a regular basis. But there's going to be that time where, the teacher goes out on maternity leave or another teacher steps in and they don't have the same philosophy on home to school communication plans, but you've worked really hard to get something set up to make that work. So it's really an accountability safety net to ensure that you are getting what you need to be an equal member of the IEP team as a parent. That's it. Now, if you're doing it the right way, which means that you know whatever communication plan you have set up, it's working, and a day or two goes by and things aren't perfect, okay, we can let that go. But if you are implementing a communication plan and it's written in the IEP and things are not happening in that communication plan consistently, then we have a foundation for improving the strategy of the communication plan, because it's something that has been agreed upon as being necessary to provide a free and appropriate public education, to meet a child's unique needs, to prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. That's all in the purpose and findings of IDEA law, which is the law that is governing everybody's special education services in the entire United States. Again, I'm going to put in there, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that law pretty well. I can tell you where to look. Purpose and findings is one of my favorite places inside of the IDEA law. All right, guys, it is about time for me to hop on over and work with my master IEP coaches, because here's the thing. I teach them how to create their own checklist so they can give it out to their community for free, because there is never going to be enough free resources when it comes to checklists and general information. Now, every one of the master IEP coaches that I'm working with, they're going to be available as a resource inside of their community at a much more intensive level. Like, you'll be able to hire them to work with you, to get to know your family, to stay out of crisis, to make sure everything's okay. I'm like giving websites out everywhere here. So that's at myiepcoach.com. When you hop on over to myiepcoach.com, you get to see current master IEP coaches who are accepting new clients. And this is the time to really start working with them, because they're going to be focused on helping you understand the full continuum of placements, making ESY, that's extended school year. Some of you guys call it summer school, but summer school and extended school year are actually two very different things. Making decisions on if goals worked, if progress happened, if the data is good. So many things need to happen at the end of the school year. So now's your time to either become an IEP coach, hire a master IEP coach, and at minimum, you gotta go grab your IEP checklist at iepchecklist.com. All right, I'm going to hop over and go work with the master IEP coaches. You guys have a great night.